First and foremost, I wish to thank Morocco, His Majesty Mohammed VI for giving his blessing to this conference, his advisor, André Azoulay, which is not here with us tonight, Simon Kislasi, Yehuda Azoulay, Mehdi Al-Boudra, and most above all, Julia Maman, for she has been the backbone of CYCI. Children removed from violent rapes and lives were saved because of her efforts. Note that CYCI had Jews, Muslims, Christians, and Yazidis volunteering 24/7. The saying, no borders, no race, and no religion is what made our success. For the past year and a half, CYCI has occupied my life, and the sacrifice was unbearable. My family suffered tremendously from it. My businesses barely saw my presence or implication for over a year. Thousands of incredible articles brought fame. Then the title followed, The Jewish Schindler. But all these came with a hefty price. There's a mashal I want to share with you before I develop what I wanted to talk to you about in Morocco. A king who was very close to everybody in his country. It's a great lesson, it changed my life. It's a great story. A king who was very close to all his subjects, and everybody just could go see the king and just tap him on the shoulder and talk to him. At some point, the king realized that he wasn't king anymore. People would just come into his palace. Everybody knew somebody who could bring him into the palace. He would walk inside the corridors of his own palace, and people would just walk by, not even waving hello to him anymore because they were so used to seeing the king. He realized that he had the obligation to make a change. That change was, from now on, whoever doesn't get a key from me will not have access to this palace anymore. He proceeded to making a list. That list had all the people he wanted to have access into the palace, and they were remitted keys. The next morning, people presented themselves to the gate. They showed their key, and they were admitted into the palace. His son, the prince, comes to the door, and he sees the guardians just blocking the entrance. He says, "Don't you recognize me? I'm the prince. I want to go in." He says, "Sorry, you don't have a key. You can't come into the palace." He sees other people coming in. He sees his brothers. He sees other people that work inside the palace coming to the gate. They have a key. They show their key, and they go in. And him, they won't let in. A day, 2 days, 3 days, a month. 1 month went by. And he realized that he was never going to make it back into the palace without a key. So people were coming in. He was like, "Please, go see my father and tell him that I'm outside. It's been days I've been begging people to go tell my father that I'm outside and I can't get in. And I'm still here. I can't get in." Months went by and he just left. He went into a village, and slowly, he degraded himself. He didn't have money, people didn't recognize him anymore, and people lost all respect for the prince. 3 years later, the story tells us that the king was supposed to come to that village and make an announcement. This prince said, "That's going to be my opportunity, the only one I'm going to ever get to talk to my father and tell him why." So he comes early on and he puts himself at the center of the city, wherever the king is supposed to address the people. And obviously, the notable people from town and the people that were well-dressed came to the front, and he was pushed back to the point where he couldn't even see the area where the king was supposed to talk. And he just fell to the ground, and then he heard the king come, and people were just applauding, and he realized the king was there, but he said, how can he see me or hear me from this far with all this noise? And he'll never, again, I lost my chance. At a moment there was a silence. He was on the floor, crying, and he just screamed. He says, "Father!" And the king, in the middle of, turns around and he recognizes his son's voice. He looks for him in the crowd and he finds him on the ground with his clothes totally torn, in bad shape. And the son tells the father, the prince tells the king, "Why did you do this to me? How can you do this to me, and why did you do this to me?" The king tells him in front of everybody, nobody questions a decision taken by the king. That's what I decided, and that's what it is. He says, "What troubles me most is why hasn't anybody come to talk to me on your behalf? Why hasn't anybody come to me and came to negotiate on your behalf, to make a push for you?" He says, "This is what troubles me most. It's not your state right now." This mission basically, to me, when the Yazidis had this issue because of ISIS or Daesh in French, I had to answer. I had an obligation to answer. I had the ability to answer, and I answered to it. Did I take heat for it? I sure did, from Jewish communities to etc. But at the end of the day, I saw Hashem sent a mission, and I was going to go and negotiate. I remember the story from this mashal, and I just applied it. The city of Morocco, I shared it all along this mission with everybody in the media. Maybe 5,000 articles out there. Every single article talks about me being Moroccan. Why did I include the word Morocco? That's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Jews left Morocco. One leaves a place usually to go to a better place. When we leave a certain area, it's to go to something better. If we move houses, we hope to go to a bigger house or better. The food or the meat that was consumed by our ancestors came from that earth. So when we say, "This is my land," what does it mean, my land? We say it very easily, "Oh, this is my land, Israel is my land, Morocco is my land." You gotta think for a minute. What does my land really mean? My land means that I am the land it's me. The land is me. And how could I prove this to you? Because the food that your parents ate the night that you were conceived, the food came from Morocco, not from Copenhagen. It wasn't a state that was imported, let me assure you. It was food that came from the earth. That earth made its way, as Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, the seed that the man gave to his spouse comes from the most purest part of the food that he ingested. He ingested food from Morocco, therefore from the earth to him, into the seed to his wife. So there is no more proof than you carry the earth of Morocco in your bones. And this earth carries the tzaddikim in its own earth, so it's a great level. This is what it means to be attached to the land. It means that you have the earth in you from this country. And I want to finish on this. I'm not sure if everybody's going to be in accordance with it, but this is my point of view. Moroccan Jews can proudly say that they've inherited two holy countries, not one. Not Israel. There are two holy countries. It is Morocco and it is Israel. We were given something that is a gift from God. The relationship that we nurture between one another, the proximity, the truthfulness, doesn't exist anywhere else. It does not exist in any other community in the world, rest assured. I will end on these words. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. It was a gift to have spent this moment with all of you. Simon Keslasi, Alan, Kol HaKavod, Mehdi Al-Boudra, Kol HaKavod for your work. There was one person tonight that did not get a chance to have his biography read. Alan Azoulay. He has worked on this project around the clock. He has done the impossible, and I come to Morocco very often. What we've had is the impossible. And we could thank Simon and Mehdi and Alan for all of this. Thank you so much for being here.